So Khabib and Islam are often called boring fighters, and in my recent video about fighters not owing us good fights, they were mentioned a bit too much for my taste, so I'm gonna make a video explaining why these two are not actually boring. We're gonna start off with Khabib. He won 13 fights in the UFC and he finished 7 of them. That's a 53% finish rate, and he holds notable finishes over Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, Michael Johnson and Daryl Horcher, and notable decisions over Al Iaquinta, Edson Barbosa and Rafael dos Anjos. First of all, we have to establish that not every decision is boring. Some of the best fights go to a decision, and his decision wins aren't even that boring. He absolutely beat the shit out of Edson Barbosa. He literally 30-25'd him.
The look in Barbosa's face says it all.
The RDA fight, listen, RDA would become a champion just a few years after that fight. And he had some nice takedowns against him. I counted 6 in total. And when Khabib takes you down, it's usually very fun to watch because he really ragdolls people or he can throw them around. His striking was a bit reckless, but it was fun. And he 30-27'd a future champion at the time. And also someone who was not far removed from becoming a champion. Now the fight was Al Iaquinta. That one lasted 5 rounds. The other 2 lasted just 15. So you could also forgive him for not finishing someone within 15 rounds. I mean, Al Iaquinta, he had 5 rounds and I counted 7 takedowns. You could even count more because sometimes he didn't really take him down, but he got his back, for example, and almost pulled guard, but he was actually on the back, so it's not a guard pull. Khabib went for a nice ground and pound, got very dominant positions, mounted him, got his back. He absolutely jabbed his nose off. Al was looking like an absolute mess. And he attempted 304 strikes in total and landed 134. That's a very active fight from Khabib, and it's not a boring fight. Yes, it wasn't competitive, but it wasn't boring. Khabib was just so active in that fight. 7 takedowns, that's more than 1 takedown per round. 304 attempted strikes. On average, that's 60 or 61 attempted strikes. Landed 134 of them, but still, the activity is there. If you are still not convinced, just admit you don't like him, admit you maybe don't like grappling, or perhaps Conor McGregor is your favorite fighter. And in general, Khabib has a very aggressive style, a style where he goes forward, where he walks you down, especially towards the end of his career. He absolutely walked down Justin Gaethje. He was not afraid of Poirier at all. Against Conor McGregor, he did a lot of pushing forward. Now, Islam Makhachev, he holds 13 wins and has finished 8 out of them, putting him at a 61% finish rate, which is quite high actually. And he holds notable finishes over Charles Oliveira, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, Thiago Moises, and Drew Dober. And he has notable decisions over Volk, Ramos, and Tsarukyan. We're going to talk about those decisions now. We're going to start off with a Volk fight that was entertaining and very close. Volk was the number 1 pound for pound fighter at the time. He still is. And it was in his backyard in Australia. You can forgive Makhachev for not being able to finish him. They still put on a good fight. Islam hurt him. Volk hurt him. It was a very competitive fight. Perhaps one of the most competitive I have ever seen. When his fight against Davy Ramos, this was the worst fight out of the 3 I picked out. But he still had some nice striking in that fight. He almost finished him early in round 3, attempted 95 strikes, only landed 43, that's roughly half, a bit less, but 95 attempted strikes in just 15 minutes, that's quite a lot actually, that's quite active, and literally won 30-26. And his fight versus Tsarukyan, he had a very competitive fight. We had some high level wrestling exchanges. We saw some beautiful takedowns from Makhachev. I counted 4 in total. Tsarukyan also got a takedown. We saw some interesting sweeps from both sides. And this was just high-level grappling. If you didn't like it, just admit you don't like grappling. If you just say, yeah, I don't like grappling, it's okay. But if you just call this fight boring, I feel like you're a casual, to be honest. And a pattern that you might have noticed is that these decision fights are actually a long time ago for both of these fighters, except for the Volk fight. But the Tsarukyan fight is a very long time ago. The Davy Ramos fight is a long time ago. Ever since that, Islam only finished other guys in his last 4 fights. He finished Oliveira, finished Hooker, finished Makhachev, couldn't finish Volk, but no one finished Volk. Khabib, his fight versus Ally Quinta, that was the fight where he won the title. All 3 following defenses, he got finishes. McGregor in round 4, Poirier in round 3, and Gaethje in round 2. So he even got quicker from fight to fight, from round 4 to round 3 to round 2. And these 2 guys, they like pushing the pace. Islam likes to counter-strike sometimes, but you still see he's a very active fighter. He gets beautiful takedowns. Khabib just sometimes puts pressure on these guys. Absolutely walked Justin Gaethje down. I think these 2 are beautiful to watch, and it is not justified at all to call them boring.
Smash, like, smash, like, smash, like.
This is #1 bullshit.